everyone and welcome to video tutorial 14. You should now know all about cell division and stem cells, and you should be able to pause the video and put the stages in the correct order for the starter activity. So try to do that before I go over the answers. So the answers are, you should have got number 3. Each chromosome replicates itself to become an X-shaped structure composed of 2 chromatids which are held together by the centromere. Then number 2, sister chromatids become short, fat and visible. Then number 1, the nuclear membrane dissolves, spindle fibers appear, sister chromatids line up at the equator of the cell and attach to the spindle fibers at their centromere. Then number 5, the spindle fibers contract and separate the sister chromatids from each other. The sister chromatids, now known as individual chromosomes, are pulled to opposite ends of the cell, which is also known as the cell poles. And then number 6, a nuclear membrane forms around each set of chromosome. And then lastly, number 4, the cell cytoplasm splits and 2 new diploid genetically identical daughter cells are formed. Well done if you managed to get all of that correct. If you didn't and you struggled to get the answers, remember you can go back and watch the cell division video or stem cells video again if you're struggling as many times as you want to. Today we're going to be looking at body organisation, which is still part of Key Area 1. If you want the worksheets that go with the video, remember to pause the video and go to 2 multicellular, 1 producing new cells, 2 consumables and activities, 1.3 cell tissues and organs, and the PowerPoint can be found in PowerPoint and is called 1.3 cell tissues and organs. So today we're going to be learning about body organisation. Our learning intention is to learn to explain what the term specialisation is in the cells of animals and plants. We need to be able to give details of how the structure of animal cells and plant cells relate to their function, and to be able to describe the different levels of organisation in plants and animals, and finally to state that cells and organs are specialised for their function. To be successful, you will be able to know the definition of cells, tissues, organs, and systems. You'll be able to state that the function and structure of animal and plant cells and give examples for each, and then you'll be able to put the level of organisation of plants and animals in order. So how do we become a multicellular organism? How do we start off and how do we become more complex? We all start off as a single cell. This cell divides into more cells. These cells become specialised to perform functions. So there's our cell that we start off with. And then these cells group together to perform a similar function, which gives you a tissue. And then different tissues group together to give you an organ. And then different organs group together to give you a system. And then different systems group together to give you an organism. So watch this video about body organisation. So click on the link and pause the video, or you can go back to the video at the end. So obviously you've got your cells, so like your red blood cell, then it becomes grouped together to form a tissue, which would be in this case the blood tissue, and then your different types of tissues come together to make an organ. So your muscle tissue, your blood tissue, and your nerve tissue in this case are forming your heart organ, and then these will come together to make a system. So this would be your circulatory system in this case, and then all these systems come together to make an organism. So that the body of multicellular organisms are efficient, a large number of cells are divided into specialised cells which have a special function, and they're grouped together in divisions of labour, so not all of the cells are performing the same thing because it would be a waste of time and energy. So now we would make a note on what a specialised cell is. So a specialised cell is a cell that has a specific structure that helps it carry out a function. So both multicellular animals and plants have specialised cells. It is important that you know the definition of a cell. So a cell is known as the basic unit of life, and it is the smallest unit that can lead to an independent life. So you would take a note of that. It is important to know how specialised cells are structurally different to each other and how this structure gives them their function. So usually in class you do a speed dating activity where you'd have a specialised cell and you'd learn it and then you'd teach the rest of the class about it. However, obviously we're not in class, so there is a table if you go to your consumables in 1.3, and it's called 12.3 specialized cells worksheet. The first cell that you need to know about is the sperm cell, and its function is to fertilize the egg. It is specialized because it has a tail, so that allows it to swim to the egg, and it is also haploid, which means it only has one set of chromosomes, which allows its fusion with the egg to produce a diploid zygote at fertilization. The next cell you need to know about is the egg cell. So its function is to fertilize the sperm, and it's involved in fertilization. And it is specialized as it is large, so it has a large UK cytoplasm food store. It's also haploid, which allows its fusion at fertilization to produce a diploid zygote. Another cell that you need to know about is the palisade mesophyll cell in the leaf of a plant, and its function is it's the primary region of photosynthesis. So it's specialized because it's a tall cell which has a large surface area to absorb light, and it also contains lots of chloroplasts which contain chlorophyll, which allows for it to absorb light for photosynthesis. You also need to know about ciliated epithelial cells, which are in animal cells, which are the cells that line your windpipe. So their function is to sweep dirty mucus away from the lungs, and they have a specialized structure that's kind of like a broom. So they've got hair-like cilia that beat upwards that sweeps the dirty mucus away from the lungs. The root hair cell, which is found in the plant, its function is to absorb water, and it's specialized because it has a long finger-like projection which provides a large surface area to maximize uptake of water and minerals from the soil. It's also got a thin cell wall which makes it easy for the water to pass through. Then we have the nerve cell that's found in animals, and its function is to transmit nerve impulses, and it's specialized because it's very long and they have connections at each end, so they can carry nerve impulses rapidly throughout the body. Another animal cell that we need to know is the red blood cell. So its function is to transport oxygen, and it's specialized because it has a large surface area, it's got no nucleus and hemoglobin, which maximizes the volume of oxygen it can carry around the body. Another cell you need to know about is the white blood cell. So its function is to destroy invading microbes, and it's specialized because it's able to change shape, and it's got a sac of microbe digesting enzymes. So moving back to the plant, so the cell that we're going to look at is the guard cell. So guard cells' function is to control gaseous exchange, and they're specialized because they have a sausage shape and a thick inner cell wall facing the stoma. So their specialized shape allows them to open and close, which obviously allows the gases to go through or not. And another plant cell that you need to know about is the companion cell. So the function of the companion cell is to control the sieve tube in the phloem, and these cells are specialized because they've got a very large nucleus in relation to their size. So the last cell that we're going to look at in a plant is the epidermal cell, and its function is for protection, and it's specialized because it's an irregular shape which allows cells to fit together like a jigsaw to form a strong layer. So you now need to make a note on tissues. So the definition of a tissue is a group of specialized cells working together to perform a particular function. So you need to know that examples of tissues in an animal would be muscle, connective, epithelial, and nerve tissues, and examples in plants would be your xylem and your phloem. So make sure you have that noted. Looking at tissues in a little bit more detail. So your nerve tissues carry impulses back and forth to the brain from the body, and that's a picture of them. So then we have our muscle tissue. So there's three types of muscle tissue, which are cardiac, smooth, and skeletal. So their function is to contract and shorten, making body parts move. So here's a picture of your skeletal, cardiac, and smooth tissues. Then we have our epithelial tissue. So that covers the surfaces of the body, so inside of the body as lining and covering of internal organs, and outside of the body as a layer of skin. So there is a picture of your epithelial tissue. So finally we have connective tissue, so that connects all parts of the body and provides support, for example tendons, ligaments, and cartilage. And then there's a picture of the connective tissue. Now what we would do is an activity where you would look at the tissues in animals and plants in more detail. So you would go to consumables and print out the 2A specialised animal fill-in and the 3A specialised plant fill-in. And then you'd use the National 5 James Torrance textbook, page 75 and 76 to help you fill in the table. So you can pause the video and try to do that before I go over the answers. So the answers would be for animal cell and tissue organisation. So the first tissue that we're going to look at is cheek epithelium. So the cells that make up cheek epithelium would be the epithelial cells, and their special features are that they are flat, irregular shapes that allow cells to form a loose covering layer that's constantly replaced during wear and tear, and their function is the protection of the mouth lining. And then there's a picture of the epithelial cells. So the next tissue that we're going to look at is blood, and it's made up of two cell types. So we've got our red blood cells and our white blood cells. Now we already looked at these two cells. So our red blood cells are specialised because they're bioconcave in shape, which increases the surface area to carry more oxygen. They lack a nucleus and they contain hemoglobin, which allows them to carry more oxygen. And they're small and flexible so that they can go through capillaries. And their function is to uptake and transport oxygen around the body. Then we've got our white blood cells. Again, we've looked at them. So they're able to change shape. They've got sacs of microbe digesting enzymes in some of them, and their function is to destroy invading microbes. The next tissue we're going to look at is the nerve tissue, and it's made up of a cell type called motor neurons. And its special feature is its axon is long insulated extensions of cytoplasm, and this is useful because it's used for transmission of nerve impulses, which have got to be fast. And the last tissue that we're going to look at is the ciliated epithelium. So two tissue cell types that make up this ciliated epithelium tissue are the goblet cell and the cilia. And the goblet cell is a cup shape and able to produce mucus. So the mucus traps certain germs. And the ciliated epithelial cell, that is the thing with the hair projections, and its function is to sweep up the mucus away from the lungs. So well done if you managed to fill out all that table correctly. So let's look at plant cell and tissue organisation. The first tissue that we're going to look at in a plant is the lower leaf epidermis. So it's made up of two cell types, the epidermal cell and the guard cell, which we've looked at. So the epidermal cell is specialised because it's got an irregular shape, which allows it to fit together like a jigsaw and provides a strong layer. And that means that its function is protection. And then the guard cells' special features are their sausage shapes, which have got a thick inner cell wall facing the stomata. And they also have chloroplasts. So their function is to control gaseous exchange by changing the shape and resulting in the opening and closing of stomata. The next tissue that we're going to look at is the mesophyll tissue, and it's made up of two different cell types. So we've got the palisade mesophyll layer and the spongy mesophyll layer, which are both in the leaf. And the special feature of the palisade mesophyll is that it's got chloroplast present and it's got a long shape, so it allows the densely packed green layer to be presented to the light. And the reason being is it's the primary region of light absorption and photosynthesis. Then the spongy mesophyll, its specialised features is that it's round in shape and it allows loose arrangements in contact with moist air spaces for the absorption of carbon dioxide. And the function of the spongy mesophyll cell is that it's a secondary region of photosynthesis, and it's where gas exchange takes place. The next tissue that we're going to look at in a plant is the phloem, and it's made up of two different cell types. So we've got our sieve tube cell and our companion cell. So our sieve tube cell is specialised because it's got sieve plates and a continuous stream of cytoplasmic strands but no nucleus, and this allows its function to be of transporting soluble carbohydrates up and down the plant. And then we've got our companion cell, which is specially differentiated because it's got a large nucleus in relation to its cell size, and its function is to control the sieve tube functions. And then finally, we've got our xylem tissue. So our xylem tissue is made up of our cell type of vessels, and the specialised feature of vessels are their hollow tube with wall strengthened by lignin, and then the lignin deposited as rings of spirals, allowing for expansion and contraction. And the function of these vessels is to support and also for water transport up the plant. So well done if you managed to get all of that correct. If not, then you can go back and watch this part of the video. Then if we were in class, we would look at different tissue samples under the microscope. So we'd look at the brain so that we could see the nerve tissue. We'd look at the digestive tract so we could see the muscle tissue. We'd look at the skin so we could see the epithelial tissue, and we'd look at the blood and tendons to see the connective tissue. So now we would make a note on organs. So organs are a group of two or more different types of tissue working together to perform a specific function. So for example, in an animal, the heart is made up of muscle and connective tissue which function to pump blood throughout the body. So let's have a look at more organs in animals. So you can pause the video and try to write down what organ you think goes with its function before I go over the answers, because you should have done it in probably second year or third year. So the answers would be that the stomach is the thing that churns and partially digests food. The heart is the thing that pumps blood. The kidneys are the thing that maintain water balance and remove soluble waste. The lungs exchange respiratory gases, and the skin protects and is also for temperature regulation and sensitivity. Animal cells are not the only thing with organs. Plants have organs too. So pause the video and see if you can write down what organ would go with what function. So the root provides anchorage and absorption of water. The stem supports and transports water and soluble foods. The leaf is where photosynthesis and gaseous exchange happens. And the flower is involved in the production of seeds. So well done if you managed to get that correct. The next note we would make is on systems. So a group of related tissues and organs such as the blood, heart, arteries, capillaries and veins make up a system, such as the circulatory system. There are 11 different organ systems in the human body, so we've got the circulatory, digestive, endocrine, excretory, immune, muscular, nervous, reproductive, respiratory and skeletal systems. So now try to pause the video and try to fill out which system belongs to which function before I reveal the answers. So the answers are that the circulatory system is the thing that pumps the blood around the body. The respiratory system takes in oxygen and removes carbon dioxide. The excretory system cleans the blood and gets rid of urine from the body. The reproductive system is for making babies. The digestive system breaks down and absorbs food and removes waste, and the immune system defends the body against disease. So well done if you managed to get that correct. Now you should be able to pause the video and match the correct organs with the correct system. So our bones would match to our skeletal system, our brain should match to our nervous system, our lungs to our respiratory system, our stomach to our digestive system, our ovaries to our reproductive system, and our heart to our circulatory system. So well done if you managed to get all that correct. Now we should know that plants and animals are organised in a specific way. So our organisation starts with the simplest unit, so the cell, which is the basic unit of life. So here we've got our root hair cell and our epithelial cell. And then a group of specialised cells working together perform a particular function which make a tissue. So here we've got our epithelial tissue, and then down here we've got our root tissue. And then our tissues group together to perform a specific function which make an organ. So in here we've got the stomach, and down here we have got the root. And then a group of organs and tissues together make up a system. So here we've got our organ system, which is our digestive system, and down here we have our vascular bundle, which make up our transport system. And then a group of systems make up our organism. So in this one it's a human, but it could be any animal. And for the bottom one it is a tree. So well done if you've managed to get all that correct. If you've not, then you'll need to go back to the start of the video and watch it again. Now you can complete the activities below to review your learning by doing the key area past paper questions on specialised cells, which can be found in 4 past paper key area, and by doing the multicellular exam practice questions on page 23 to 24. and you can also complete the revision and do the test on the National 5 Biology bite-sized page. And then you can complete homework 1. Let's do a true or false quiz to review your knowledge. So the first question is, the term specialized means designed for a specific function. So is that true or false? So the answer is that it is true. A cell is made of different tissues. Is that true or false? The answer is false. It would be a tissue that is made up of different cells. An organ is made of different tissues. Is that true or false? The answer is that it's true. A sperm cell is specialized for its function because it has a long tail for movement. Is that true or false? It would be true. An example of an organ found in the circulatory system is the stomach. Is that true or false? It would be false. The stomach would be found in the digestive system. We have now come to the end of the lesson. Woohoo! So you should now be able to describe specialization of cells as a process that cells develop specific structures to suit specific functions. You should be able to describe the levels of organization from cells to tissues to organs to systems. You should be able to state that the cells and organs are specialized for their function. So well done if you can confidently do all that. If you can't, then you need to watch the video again. So that is the end of the video tutorial. Thank you for listening.